News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And a very good morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And look, it's a wonderful day out there. It's really nice. It's not pouring down in buckets. Neither is the sun shining so brightly, but it promises to be a nice bright day. And all those tourists who are visiting our beautiful island will no doubt get value for money, because they want those beaches, they want the swaying palm trees, and they want that culture. And they're getting full delivery, which is wonderful, isn't it? And of course they get the bonus too, the Sri Lankan smile. Everyone loves that. Now then, this morning, in between all this political goings-on, as I call it, we have Mr. Maithri Gunaratne to discuss this, amongst other matters.
Morning for us. It is surprising that with all the travel embargoes, there are still tourists coming into Sri Lanka.
Absolutely. Do you know, it's true. I met a couple yesterday. They're from the United States, which is a pretty far place to come from over here. And they had it all worked out. They had their book, they had everything worked out, and they were really looking forward to this visit to Sri Lanka. They had read about it. There was not a thing that they did not know.
Now, even with the travel embargo, they had no fears about it.
Oh, I did ask them. They said, well, we sort of glanced at it because we've got an alert on our phone.
Okay.
But she said, well, I just looked.
They treated it with the contempt it deserves, I suppose.
Well, yes. I mean, the point is that, you know, I really don't understand why we had all those ambassadors troop in and out. Because, on both sides, you know, why bring them into this? They didn't, I can't see them doing much when democracy is impinged upon in other matters, in other areas. Yeah. I don't see them shouting.
No. For us, provincial council elections have been delayed.
Yeah, so where were
they shouting about that?
Exactly.
Now, if that had happened sometime under the Rajapaksa regime, there would have been mayhem in the country by the foreign missions.
That's right.
Here, 6 provincial councils stands dissolved, and for maybe some of them for about now almost a year.
Yeah.
Right? There is absolutely no dissent or concern about restoring democracy, franchise of the people.
Oh, because that will be termed as interfering on our sovereignty.
So, but now when this present constitutional issue, which has cropped upon,
yeah.
Now some are trying to portray a constitutional crisis. They are trying to portray.
Surely it isn't. In simple terms, Maithri Gunaratne, there's two sides. Each firmly believe what they believe.
Yeah, precisely.
And, you know, all it needs is, at the appropriate time, in the fullness of time, it will be tested.
Correct.
And the better, the correct side of the process will hopefully win.
Definitely.
You know, and that's about it. There's really no need to test the peace, I think, the stability of the peace, by having people turn up here and this, that and the other. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't like to sort of flirt with disturbing the peace that we have. I wouldn't like to do that.
I don't think there is any disturbance in the peace we have.
No, but you know, it worries me when you have these huge crowds of people. I don't know if it's huge, but in a small place it looks huge.
No, but for us, that is a democratic right of any political party.
I know, but I have a friend of mine whose office is just off that roundabout.
Yeah.
And we were at a nearby coffee place here. And I said, are you going now? And he said, I'm going to walk. I said, walk? He's a bit more portly than I am. And I said, walk? He said, well, I've got no choice because there's all these people there. And when I saw the footage, I felt a bit apprehensive, to tell you the truth. And I was just wondering then where the section of the law about unlawful assembly comes in, because we've been reading about unlawful assembly in the Dominda Silva case, remember? So it's almost fresh in my mind, right? Because a lot of people thought that there it was he who pulled the trigger. But if you read the Supreme Court ruling, judgment, or the observation, whatever, it was clear that it was the unlawful assembly. So when I saw these crowds, that's all I could think about. And I was thinking, I must ask you about that. But yes, people do show up because they want to show solidarity.
Definitely.
So on.
Definitely.
And that was evident when the Prime Minister came to the Bond Commission. There were lots of people who only came that day. There were others like Zulfiq Farzan, for example, who went there literally, quite literally every day.
Yeah, he was covering the...
because he was covering the
Bond Commission.
That's right. So you could understand that, you know. What I didn't understand, and I did tell one of those drivers that whilst the boss is inside showing solidarity, there was no need to burn petrol outside and sit in your air-conditioned stuff with your engines running. I thought that was criminal. But anyway, that was a different matter. But what is your take on this issue?
On the removal of the Prime Minister?
Yes, or the appointment of a new Prime Minister.
For us, it's very, very simple. The government which was in existence was a coalition government.
Yeah.
And by virtue of two political parties joining together to form a coalition, they were able to exceed the 30-member cabinet which has been prescribed in the 19th Amendment.
Yeah.
So now, this coalition government came from August 2015 to date, till the Prime Minister was removed.
Yeah.
How was the Prime Minister removed? When the President came to know, that one of the constituent parties, that is the SLFP, wrote to the Speaker and said that we are moving out of the coalition. We are moving out of this government.
This is the UPFA.
The UPFA was moving out of the coalition government. Moment that happens, that whole cabinet ceases to exist.
Because it's over 30?
Because one thing is over 30, and the cabinet can be more than 30 only if there is a coalition government.
Right.
So on that basis, when the cabinet does not cease to exist, the Prime Minister...
The Prime Minister is only in office whilst the cabinet is
there, is in office.
Right.
So then thereafter, it is the discretion of the President to appoint whomever he thinks fit to be the Prime Minister.
Right.
So
it's his opinion, isn't it?
It's his opinion.
The Constitution says.
And it's in signal is his mataya, that is his discretion. His discretion, if he feels that so and so commands the majority, he can appoint that so and so.
Right.
So that is what he has done.
That's the law. That's the Constitution.
That's the Constitution.
Right.
Plain and simple. It is no rocket science. That is the law.
Right.
Now, you will say if it was a case where there was a 30-member cabinet, single government, and then Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe was the Prime Minister, now that would have been a difficult situation for him to remove.
Why?
Because that they say, because the government is in place, it's below 30, and then he will continue till that cabinet is there. So there is no way it can be
unless a whole lot of people came and petitioned the President.
That's a different issue. That's a different issue.
Yeah.
But this decision which was taken is perfectly legal, and to date I have not seen anyone in the UNP coming and defending it with some viable argument. Even there is a gentleman by the name of Vikramaratne,
Dr. Jampati
Vikramaratne. even his argument is a very, baseless, senseless argument he's trying to put forward.
Is he sort of clutching at straws?
He is clutching at straws,
right.
and it is like he's one member appointed by the UNP on the national list,
okay.
and I think he's singing for his supper.
Now I want to ask you, I want to put the flip side, because when we toss a coin,
yeah.
it's always head or tails, isn't it? So let's look at the flip side. The flip side is, I get people saying to me, well, it's not fair. The method's not fair. I think what they mean is the timing.
Yeah.
Some people say, well, why, if that was the case, why didn't the president wait until Parliament met, and then they could have put it to test?
Yeah, that is his prerogative for us.
That's a prerogative afforded to the president.
That's a prerogative afforded to the president. And for us, I feel, I mean, and I personally know.
Yeah.
Now, when the first bond issue came up in 2015, February, March,
yeah.
The president, in fact, when I met him, he told me
yeah.
that he had told the Prime Minister
yeah.
that get rid of this Arjuna Mahendran.
Yeah.
Don't keep the fellow, right? Because this is going to harm our government. This is very, very clear that there has been some kind of fraud here.
Right.
But that did not happen.
Yeah.
So the uncomfortable situation in the Yahapalnya government
yeah.
started far back as 2015, February, March.
Yes.
February, March.
Yeah.
From that point onwards for us, it
yeah.
was a continuous development of this, what do you call, the bad relationship.
Yeah.
The bad relationship started, and it came to a final point when there was an attempt or a conspiracy
yeah.
for the assassination of the president. That was the high point. And at that time, he has taken this decision. Some may say the timing
after all, it's his life.
Yeah, it's his life. The timing may not be good. All that is, they have points, but then he has to take a decision which he feels comfortable and safe.
Right. After all, he's the one with the mandate. And it is his life that they were talking about. Thank you very much for your questions. 0772 300 305. As always, send us your questions by SMS. And we can't guarantee to take them all, but we do take some that is sort of topical. And here's one. Question to your guest. You're listening up then. When the UPFA left the coalition, didn't they simultaneously vacate their ministry, automatically reducing the size of the cabinet?
Definitely, yes. That's what happens.
That's what happened.
Yeah. No one can come and say, no, I am still the minister, I have not been removed. Once they give notice of vacation,
yeah.
then the cabinet stands dissolved.
Right.
Cabinet stands dissolved. So there is no rocket science for us. It's
right.
very simple.
It's very simple.
I can't understand why the Prime Minister or the former Prime Minister
yeah.
does not see. He's being a lawyer.
Yeah.
He being a lawyer, I think either he's stubborn, right, and he just doesn't want to move from temple trace.
What does Morandu mean?
Mora stubborn.
Right. Does the president use that word?
Stubborn. He has been, that is his nature.
But was there every hope that in 2015 that this coalition would actually work?
For us, it would have worked.
But you had two almost opposite ideologies.
No, that's not the issue for us. If both of the parties worked for the common good of the country, if both of the parties worked for the common good of the country,
yeah.
it would have definitely worked.
Look, for example,
yeah.
the United National Party is, it's very capitalistic in its thinking,
yeah.
right? And they want everything to be market-driven and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's one ideology. The SLFP, for example, they don't want to sell the family silver, if you like.
Correct.
Right? They believe in something different. And yet, this was one of the cornerstones of what happened. Here you have the IMF insisting on various, their prescription to fix the world, in which they brought Sri Lanka and dragged us into it as well. So they say, look, you can't subsidize anything really. Certainly you can't subsidize the fertilizer, for example, right? And you must sell off these state assets and so on. But that is completely at odds with the coalition partner, who firmly believes with equal vigor that that is not the way to do it. So wasn't it a recipe for disaster?
I don't think. What happened was under the present or the previous, this government of Mr. Anil Wickramasinghe, they started selling all these places for us without proper procedure. There was no tender procedure.
Departure from due process.
Due process.
Right.
Now, that is what brought in the concern. I don't think they are at odds with regard to selling out a loss-making state institute. But when you depart from process, go to that economic subcommittee which they had in the cabinet, which was a very closely knit set of friends of the former PM. Now that was the issue. That was the issue. And the other thing is for us, I don't believe that any of the state enterprises should run at a loss.
This I was about to say this.
Should run at a loss. What is happening is they are appointing people who are not qualified, people who have no experience, camp followers to those positions, and that position is only a place where they get comfort and perks and privileges with no work or action going into the development of that enterprise.
But Maithri, isn't it true that the government has no business being in business?
No, that is true.
They must create the network, the facilities, the infrastructure.
Perfectly correct. But for us, our country, I mean these enterprises, right? There is no harm. There is no harm if it is run profitably. But I would say maybe 95% of the state enterprises are running at an absolute loss.
Why is it then, Maithri, that when I meet people who are looking for jobs, even young people, they are always saying, Mama, andwe job beggar.
Yeah, that is the reason is you're paid not to work.
This is my point.
Paid not to work, or to work very little. Right? And then they think that you can get a pension. So, and the unfortunate thing is for us, all successive governments, they are taxing the people who are working, right? They are taxing the people who are producing, right? To pay these the government servants who are not doing their job, not doing productive work for the country. Now this is a serious issue. I mean, there is no problem in going into government service, there is no problem in people wanting government jobs. But when they get a government job, do they put at least 4 hours of work a day? That is the issue. That is the issue.
I was saddened whilst, the developments going on yesterday, the appointment of ministers previous day, the new cabinet, some of them, and yesterday, the secretaries. I was saddened because I looked very quickly and one of my colleagues on the floor, a young fellow, rather new, said to me, Buttergood is back. This young man, I don't think he's 19. Okay, all right, granted, he may be 19, but he's 19. And it's stuck in his mind. And he says to me, Buttergood is back. That saddened me. When I looked at the ministers, you saw some of these ministers and you're thinking, now what? But I know that the president, the appointing authority, has so many constraints and and
not constraints.
he's like a juggler.
No, not a jug. With regard to Batagoda going back to the Ministry of Power and Energy, those are demands which are made by
various interested parties.
Not only interested parties, maybe even by the minister.
Right.
Because if you see, it is the same minister who has...
That's right. That's precisely the point that I was trying to bring.
Right, the same minister...
I looked at that name and I was
because for that minister, Batagoda being there makes it very comfortable for the status quo to continue.
Actually, that's right.
For the status quo to continue. So it's very unfortunate for us.
You know, the commercial field is littered with projects that have been given and then been blocked. Right? And then these people have no option but to go to court because they've been frustrated by officials in these various departments, ministries, and so on.
I think a fellow like Batagoda has done irreparable damage to this country. Now there were so many people for us who came, who wanted to open solar power parks, turnkey projects. That is, the government doesn't spend a red cent. We only have to give them the necessary land, which we have abundantly in the dry zones, to start the solar park and feed us the power. Now can you imagine a country which refuses that? Or which causes, which brings upon so much of problems upon them for them to stay in Sri Lanka.
You know, I'd like to get a some sort of special commission of some sort and get all these fellows at the planning people at the CEB, right, and hold them up for non-performance. You know why? Because they've done it for years and years and years, and they haven't sorted out the proper supply of power to our country. The Auditor General speaks of the least cost methodology.
Definitely.
Then the officials at the CEB, not just today and yesterday, but for years, have failed miserably in their duty towards the nation. Their children are educated.
All abroad.
Most of them have gone abroad and so on. It is inconsistent with what they earn officially.
Yeah.
Right? I'd like someone to do a little study and find out.
For us, now in 2019, technically if it went on track, the Sampur power plant would have been in operation.
Right.
And that power plant would have brought about another 300 megawatts to the system.
Right.
Now that whole power plant project, land acquisition, jetty construction, all that had been handed over, feasibility studies done, all that has been done. Who derailed it? It was none other than Batagoda who derailed it. Right. So if that is the case, now in these 3.5 years for us, there isn't a single project which has come into this country to supplement a cheap source of power. Today, what is happening is we are going in for depending more and more on diesel power.
Yes.
So then, when you are depending more and more on diesel power, we have to pay exorbitant rates. We become uncompetitive in the world market when it comes to production because our power costs are so high. And we outprice ourselves.
Why can't there be a wholesale commitment to increasing the input from renewable sources?
They are not interested in it for us. That's what I told you. Now there
was not enough commissions?
No, not only that, they want to go through this tender procedure and all that. For it to take about 1 year. When there are people who are here, they have the money. They are bringing the money.
There's one instance where I know where they've brought the money in, they've been given the project, and then snip, all sorts of jolly things happen, and that particular company is gone to court now. So in frustration.
So you can imagine the obstacles these people place on people who are trying to come and invest in this country. I think after this government came,
Yeah.
there may have been plane loads of people who came wanting to invest here.
Yeah.
They went faster than they came because the red tape they had to face because they didn't give the money.
Right. Well, okay. Now then, what will be, well, my granny used to say what will be, will be. You know, que sera, sera. But what do you think? What will be the end result in the next few days?
No, for us now, they are talking of this majority in parliament and all that.
Yeah.
Now, when Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe was appointed as Prime Minister in 2015,
Yeah.
he had only 42 members in parliament.
Right. So at that time, the president believed that Ranil Wickremesinghe
could command.
Yeah.
So he was appointed.
And that thinking was quite right, because when they did turn up in parliament,
Yeah.
nobody questioned it because it was obvious who was where.
Then after the 2015 general election, the UNP still didn't get a 113.
That's right.
And again, they went into this coalition government,
Yeah.
and he was appointed as Prime Minister. So what I'm saying is this: now people are expecting that when Parliament is summoned, or when
Yeah.
Parliament resits again on the 16th of November, that there is going to be a count to see whether Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe or Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa has the 113. It doesn't happen that way. They have to defeat a bill.
But why, you know, so many SMSs, and they're all concerning Batagoda, and they're asking us, what about the appointment of Semalapiti?
Definitely.
Wasn't there anyone else, for heaven's sake?
There are many people who
It's the same as RW insisting on Arjuna Mahendran. I draw a parallel.
yeah, definitely.
I draw a parallel.
It's slightly different in this case because for the survival of the government, it depends on this 225 in parliament.
Yes, but what does
Right,
that got to do with having
therefore there is a
Semalapiti
lot
there?
of horse dealing which is taking place in order to protect power. All this is done in the name of being in power. So we are the people who are the receiving end of this, because that is why, I mean, Batagoda Supreme Court has cast various allegations and remarks about his conduct. So none of us are.
But it's like pouring water on a rather large
that's what
fat duck's back.
That's what I said. I mean, okay, Mr. C.M. Balapitiya has to be given a ministry, that's fine. But give him some other ministry.
Why do you say has to?
No. Why
is his God-given right?
No. Why I am saying has to is because for us, if there is no ministry, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is very happy to give him a ministry and whatever he wants.
Right.
Right? So
it's all in the numbers.
It's in the numbers. Because that's why I said this 225.
Yeah.
This 225 members, whatever we talk,
Yeah.
The ultimately the governance of this country depends on how these 225 members act and react. So now they are at this time they are so at high hand.
Yeah.
They can make any kind of demand they want because they get that whatever the ministry they want.
True. I'm gonna have to finish, but with a question that's come. It's very relevant. The viewer is asking, how come this diplomatic community are making noises about election, about this matter now,
Yeah.
when they did, well, we've already addressed that about the provincial council. But now they're talking about acting, that there was a need for everybody to act within the constitution.
Yeah.
But the question the viewer is posing is, do they know what's in the Sinhala version of the constitution?
No, they should be able to, because they are all the embassies have various attaches who will give them the necessary translations.
Because what I fear is that one camp is providing them with copies of the English version.
No, and if there is a discrepancy between the English and the Sinhalese version prevails.
And that's also in the constitution.
That is also in the constitution. So what more than that? Can't these so-called Western democracies understand that? It is very simple, but they choose not to understand. Now, for instance,
because they want a different constitution.
But no, because they want to keep RW there.
For what? What's their?
Because they will be able to, I suppose, control him. They will be able to control him. Now, for us, for instance, you take that boy who was arrested in Australia, Kama.
Yeah.
Now, there is a presumption of innocence.
Yes.
You are innocent until you are proven guilty.
Yeah.
Now, that whole presumption was operated. You are guilty until you are proven innocent.
Indeed.
Now this was done in Australia.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a developed country,
yeah,
or one of the Western democracies. Yeah. Or they are the people who come and tell us how we should conduct our democracies. Yeah. Now that boy ultimately came out without anything. There was no evidence against him.
Absolutely.
Right? Now he was put into a room for 28 days. Right? He was in total isolation. For us, if that happens to you or me, we'll go crazy.
I would.
Right? We'll go crazy. So now, is that the manner in which the Australian government deals with this type of incident? Now in Sri Lanka, our systems.
But if we did that,
if we did that, we would have had to pay. And for us, I'm telling you, even a terrorist, even if arrested under the PTA, the wife or the mother or the father has access to them. The lawyer has access to them. There were so many facilities which have been offered to the person who has been arrested even under the PTA. Right? So these are I mean, it's sickening at their hypocrisy. How they come and tell nations like us, because we are not being governed properly, because our politicians have been absolutely dishonest, because they have completely ruined this country in the last 40-50 years, they are now coming and dictating us as to how we should. All the systems are in place. We are a better democracy than them. But only thing is the people who are handling these places are not doing their jobs. That is the biggest problem we are having.
Maithri Gunaratne, thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Thank you very much.
And that's the way it was on Newsline today. Take care and God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.